Welcome back to Oldsmobile 455. It's been about a month of freezing cold weather in Wisconsin. Today's a beautiful day, so we thought we'd get back to this project where we were going to relocate the battery from the front engine bay to the back trunk. So we bought one of these battery relocation kits, and then you have to figure a way of mounting it into the trunk pan. So we made an aluminum square box, and then they give you these brackets, and we put these studs going through here, and you get the idea. You gotta hold the battery inside there, and then we have to go into the trunk area, get it in there, find out where it's going to fit, where you can get the battery in. You know, if you tucked it too low, then you wouldn't be able to get the battery in the box. So we got to go back there and find the location where the battery is going to locate. And then we're going to have to weld on some little feet onto these this aluminum bracket that will keep the battery level, and then something to mount that to the floor pan. Another practice job with the TIG welder. You know, anytime we can make something with aluminum, it just increases his time with welding aluminum, and it keeps the car lighter. So we're going to mount these overflow tanks or catch cans on either side here, and they were a little too tall. So they're being cut right now, and then they're going to be re-welded so that they fit in this area here. Some people made comments that it would end up having overspray. We're hoping that this is all going to be solving the problem so we don't have that. They're worried about oil mist going down the side on top of the headers. We will find out. When you relocate the battery from the front corner, especially when you're taking a left-hand turn, it's a lot of weight up in this corner that really sacks you out. If we can put it in back on the passenger side rear wheel, that'll give it more traction, because that's the side that always wants to come up, and hopefully it'll get better traction with the weight moved to the back. So logically thinking, this is the only place this battery is going to be able to fit, and it's tight. You know, getting it in and out of here, it's heavy. And you gotta just, you know, like that. So I think we'll even favor it a little bit more over to the side so we don't hit here and hit there. And then we gotta make sides that, you know, we don't want to ride like this. It's gonna keep it level, and we gotta come up with something that can be mounted to the floor. The switch is supposed to be where you can push it in for the guy at the track that would be able to kill the power really easy. So this has to, it's going to be going through a taillight, you know, right through one of these reverse lights, drill a hole through it, and then, you know, normally you just have it off, but if you're at the track, you'd connect this link, and this has to just move in a linear action. It's going to be going through this area, so somehow we're going to have to come up with a bracket that keeps this switch right here, and the positive battery will come through here and be connected to these lugs. Oh, then it continues on, goes all the way up along the frame up to that solenoid up there, and this can just be a shorty going down to the frame to ground it out. So this is going to be our situation that's going to dictate where this is located. It has to go. And you'd have to have like a spherical rod end on each, or on the end, so the, you know, even if you tighten it up, it still swivels. Oh, you got it. Cool. So you see this, and let's say if this thing's on fire, the guys that stay at the track, you know, and then trip the lights, or if, you know, take care of the track, he can come running and just hit this and kill the power. The handle is sticking out. You're supposed to have a sign on the back. After we had the thing in there, figured out how we could physically get the battery out. We marked it, and he put a level on it, and he's measuring this, and he's figuring 2 pieces of angle iron, if they make it, 3 inches, and then we'll clamp it in place, and then he'll weld it up, and then she'll sit level.
Been working on these brackets for about 4 hours now. Got a couple more to make. Good project for learning how to TIG weld aluminum. Good part is nobody's going to see it.
But since you've got a TIG welder and you're making it out of aluminum and it's a lot lighter, but we're putting weight on the back wheel anyway. So then these are the tubes that we're going to make that bracket that goes across the battery. That thing's kind of useless. You'd only be catching on a little bit with a wing nut. You got a stud coming up through here and you just be catching the sides. So what we had here was a situation where the floor pan isn't plumb with the world. You got wheel well shape and you got a flat bottom on a battery box, and we got to mount it so that if you did get an accident, it wouldn't go flying. And now we got to put studs in the floor pan and drill holes through this bracket, and then when the whole thing gets all bolted together, it will be a solid unit and won't go anywhere when we get in an accident. We're going to end up having studs welded to the floor pan instead of drilling holes, because you don't know, even if you're drilling holes, are you going to hit the gas tank or hit some wiring or whatever. And it's a pain in the butt trying to hold it while one guy's getting the thing bolted up. So we're going to put studs on it. If somebody ever wanted to return this back to be in stock, then they could just grind off the stud and blend it in. You wouldn't even notice it was ever done. When you're doing a stud job, a lot of guys will just take bolts, cut them off, grind them to a point, and weld them. If you just leave it flat, let's say if you were taking a bolt like this and welding it flat, by the time you weld it, you got this blob that's going all the way around. Then when you're tightening down a bracket, you're going to hit that blob of weld. If you try grinding the blob of weld, well then she'd break off. So you should taper your stud so that when you weld it all up, it's the same diameter as the rest of the stud. Then you make the hole a little bit oversized so that when she comes down, it's going to come tight to where that weld is, and it's not going to be sticking a mile high off the floor pan. You want it to look good. When you buy something in a magazine, it goes battery relocation kit. You think, oh great, I'll stick my battery in the trunk in an hour. It doesn't happen that fast. This thing fits over here, and these studs come up, and how would you tighten anything? The nut would be a bitch. We're gonna have it so it's up here. So I'm making some spacers, then this metal's gonna be over the top. So it'll be easier to take it on and off.
The studs are on the outside.
I was gonna cut this away and relieve it so that that fits in. And when you weld this all up with the tube in there, then it'll be stronger.
We can install the rest of these. They only put 2 in.
Right there?
Looks about right.
It's like when you tighten it, it must pull it up.
Cinch it up and lock it in place, eh? We'll have to get that on video. There's 29 inches, of course.
Yeah, it is big, dude. Must be okay though.
Looks like the holes are positioned pretty
It's
good.
not gonna fit in that thing, is it?
I doubt it. I bet you it's a 3/8 inch chuck.
It is 3. You got the box?
Let her rip.
It's right in there.
Now you can see what he was looking after, you know, he wanted the nut to be easy accessible on top, so we're gonna run a drill through here, round the corners, blend it, and it'll look like it was made that way. It just goes to show you, you don't need a bunch of fancy tools. And if you sanded that with a finer grit and then painted it, but nobody's gonna see this. It's just so that the next guy looking at it and he rips it apart and goes, man, were these guys a hack? They can't say that, you know, it's like, you just want somebody to be able to say, hey, they did quality work, and you got some pride. So this is what it's gonna be like every time you wanna get the battery in and out of. And it can be a real problem. If you ever work on a Corvette and they're down by the wheel well or by your feet, or if you got a truck and they're down underneath on the seat or something. This one will not be that bad. It's sturdier than heck. Once you put the clamp on, you want the cables coming out, the bracket's going to be here for the switch. And we got to run the cable through it. That's going to be the job, getting the cable all the way up to the front. This is more time consuming than what you'd even imagine. And you have wing nuts or something right here. And then you'd put the cover on. So this gives off gases. And you don't want to be, you might not notice it, but you'd have sulfuric acid is reacting when this is charging. This would fill up and you'd be breathing in sulfuric acid. You don't want to be doing that. So we're going to have a vent that's drilled into here, and it's going to go down into that hole that usually drains your, you know, stuff that if water got in here, it goes down into the lowest corner of the fender. So this will be sealed up, the nuts on here. Then the cables have to come through with the grommets. The switch will be here. It'll be cool. Once this is all painted back here, it'll look, you know, a lot more professional.